Social media fame can bring money, influence, and millions of followers, but in some parts of the world, it can also bring death.
Prank gone wrong. Metro police say on Friday night, two guys staged a fake robbery here to make a YouTube video, but not everyone was in on the joke.
In Mexico, influencers who mock or challenge the wrong people are not just canceled, they get silenced permanently. Mexican cartels rule with fear, and even a single joke can put a target on someone's back. Imagine this: a young YouTuber, drunk and feeling invincible, laughs on camera while calling out one of the most powerful cartel leaders in the world. Days later, he's dead. Shot over a dozen times in a brutal execution. This isn't a movie plot. It happened, and he's not the only one who paid the price for online clout. From reckless taunts to ill-advised stunts, we're breaking down 5 times influencers messed with the wrong cartels and suffered terrifying consequences. These stories aren't just about bad decisions. They reveal the deadly reality of social media in cartel-controlled territories. And trust me, some of these cases will make you rethink the power of a single post. But here's the real question: why do influencers keep taking these risks, despite knowing the brutal outcomes? Is it arrogance? Ignorance? Or do they simply believe they're untouchable? We're about to dive into shocking real-life cases that prove otherwise. Case 1. Juan Luis Lagunas Rosales, El Pirata de Culiacán. The Drunken Dare. Juan Luis Lagunas Rosales, popularly known as El Pirata de Culiacán, lived the sort of life one would wish to have for a viral success story. Born into poverty and abandoned by his parents, he grew up in Culiacán, Sinaloa, a place very much part of the drug trade in Mexico. Since the beginning, there was no guidance and not many opportunities, so he eventually took to social media as an escape, and strangely, it worked until it didn't. At just 17 years of age, El Pirata became a gigantic crowd puller by doing what many teenagers do at home parties: drinking excessively and behaving recklessly. Nothing more of an influencer except for their wild, drunken antics, slurred speech, and larger-than-life personality. It made him an internet sensation. His videos, almost always with one capturing him downing entire bottles, would get many millions of views. He became a meme, a joke, and an online celebrity. And like any other pretentious young influencer, he thought he was untouchable. But in Mexico, being famous isn't always a shield. Sometimes it can serve as a target. One glorious night in December 2017, El Pirata made the saddest mistake in his entire life. While drunk at a party among friends and a camera crew, he uttered a name best not spoken lightly by anyone: Mencho, the feared leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CJNG. Worse than just mentioning him, El Pirata had mocked him openly, throwing insults that would seal his fate sooner than later. It wasn't long before the consequences of his words became terrifyingly real. Just days after his drunken outburst, he announced on social media that he would be at a bar in Jalisco, a state completely controlled by El Mencho and his cartel. If he thought his fame would protect him, he was dead wrong. That night, as El Pirata laughed and partied inside the bar, 4 heavily armed men walked in. They didn't say a word. They didn't give him a chance to run. They simply opened fire. He was shot 15 times in the head. His body left as a brutal reminder of what happens to those who disrespect the wrong people. He was only 17. His murder wasn't just about him. It was a message. The CJNG doesn't tolerate public humiliation, not even from a teenager. His death sent a chilling warning to anyone thinking of testing their limits for online fame. In cartel territory, social media clout means nothing when real power is at play. But El Pirata wasn't the last YouTuber to make this mistake. Others followed, thinking they could get away with even bolder moves. And as you'll see, the cartels didn't hesitate to remind them who's really in charge. Case 2. Leslie Ann Pamela Montenegro, Nana Pelucas, the satirical journalist. Not all influencers provoke cartels through reckless behavior. Some do it by exposing uncomfortable truths. Leslie Ann. Pamela Montenegro, known online as Nana Pelucas, wasn't a typical social media star. She was a journalist, comedian, and satirist who used humor to call out corruption in Mexico. But in a country where investigative journalism can be a death sentence, even jokes can put a target on your back. Operating from Acapulco, one of Mexico's most dangerous cities, Nana Pelucas built a loyal following with her witty and sharp commentary. Through her YouTube channel, she fearlessly criticized local politicians, corrupt police, and most dangerously, the powerful criminal organizations running the city. While her content was entertaining, it was also deeply political, and it didn't take long before the wrong people started paying attention. Her warnings came in the form of narco mantas, banners left by drug cartels in public places. These messages accused her of working with rival criminal groups, a common cartel tactic used to justify silencing critics. But Nana Pelucas refused to back down. She continued making videos, exposing corruption, and laughing in the face of danger. To her followers, she was brave. To the cartel, she was a problem that needed to be solved. On February 5, 2018, her enemies acted. While she was at a restaurant with her husband and friends, 5 armed men stormed in. They didn't care that she was surrounded by people. They walked up to her, aimed their weapons, and pulled the trigger. She was shot multiple times and died instantly. The killers disappeared just as quickly as they arrived, leaving behind a chilling message. Cartels don't tolerate being mocked, even under the guise of satire. Her assassination sent shockwaves through Mexico's journalism community. Yet, what followed was even more disturbing. Authorities captured one of the men involved in her murder, but in a move that exposed the deep corruption within the system, he was later released. The justice system, the very thing Nana Pelucas had fought to hold accountable, failed her completely. Her husband refused to stay silent. He continued demanding justice, speaking out against the corrupt officials who allowed her killers to walk free. But in Mexico, seeking justice against cartels often leads to more bloodshed. With the system protecting her murderers, he was left fighting an uphill battle. Her case became part of a larger, terrifying trend. Mexico is one of the most dangerous countries in the world for journalists. Whether they use humor, facts, or investigative reporting, those who challenge cartel power often pay with their lives. And Nana Pelucas was just one of many voices silenced too soon. Case 3. Rodolfo Fofo Marquez, the rich influencer who angered a cartel. Not all influencers who cross paths with cartels do so intentionally. Sometimes arrogance and ignorance are enough to make enemies. Rodolfo Fofo Marquez is a prime example. Unlike others on this list, he wasn't a journalist or a troublemaker. He was just a wealthy influencer flaunting his privilege. But in cartel-controlled Mexico, even showing off can have deadly consequences. Born into a wealthy family, Fofo Marquez became famous for his lavish lifestyle. His social media was filled with expensive cars, designer clothes, and extravagant parties. He loved attention. But in 2022, he took things too far in an attempt to go viral. In Jalisco, one of Mexico's most cartel-heavy states, he pulled a stunt that enraged the wrong people. One night, he blocked a major bridge in Guadalajara with his luxury cars, halting traffic just so he could film himself bragging about his power. To him, it was just another flex. To the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CJNG, it was an insult. The backlash was swift. While ordinary citizens criticized him for his arrogance, the real threat came from the cartel. A chilling social media message warned him that if he ever set foot in Jalisco again, he'd be kidnapped. Unlike some influencers who laughed off cartel threats, Fofo took it seriously. He knew who he had angered. His family immediately hired bodyguards, but the damage was done. His life changed overnight. The once carefree influencer was now living in fear, constantly looking over his shoulder. Reports surfaced that he could no longer go outside freely, and his extravagant lifestyle came to a halt. His case serves as a harsh lesson. Cartels don't tolerate disrespect, even from those who don't intend to challenge them. In Mexico, fame and wealth don't offer protection. If anything, they make you an even bigger target. Case 4. El Chanito, the fake cartel connection that led to death. Some influencers make the fatal mistake of treating cartel culture as a game. That was the case with El Chanito, a young TikToker who gained attention by glorifying the cartel lifestyle. His obsession with narco culture led him to post videos posing with weapons, acting tough, and claiming to have powerful connections. But in Mexico, pretending to be part of a cartel is just as dangerous as actually being in one. His biggest mistake? He falsely claimed protection from the Sinaloa cartel, one of the most powerful criminal organizations in the world. To make things worse, he publicly mocked El Mencho, the ruthless leader of the rival CJNG cartel. Whether he thought it was just for entertainment or truly believed he was untouchable, his words had consequences. Almost immediately, the tone of his videos changed. One of his last posts showed him visibly shaken, begging for mercy, as if he had received a warning he never expected. But it was already too late. Shortly after, he was ambushed and executed in broad daylight. The brutal killing was caught on CCTV, and the footage quickly spread online. His death became another viral reminder of the dangers of provoking the wrong people. The message from the cartels was clear. This was not a game, and no amount of social media fame could protect anyone from their reach. Despite clear warnings and past cases, young influencers continue to take these risks. Whether for clout, views, or misguided bravado, many fail to realize that in the world of cartels, even a single reckless post can be a death sentence. Case 5. Azucena Uresti, the journalist who refused to back down. Unlike the influencers who recklessly taunted cartels for views, Azucena Uresti was different. She wasn't chasing clout. She was a respected journalist from Monterrey, known for exposing the brutal operations of the CJNG. But in Mexico, even reporting the truth can be a death sentence. Her investigative work put a target on her back. In a chilling escalation, CJNG released a video directly threatening her. In the footage, masked men armed to the teeth warned her to stop reporting on them. It wasn't an empty threat. Journalists in Mexico are regularly assassinated for much less. The cartel made it clear that if she continued, she would face the same fate as others who dared to speak out. But instead of running, Uresti stood her ground. She refused to be silenced, continuing to report despite the overwhelming danger. Recognizing the seriousness of the threat, the Mexican government intervened, granting her protection. With armed security, she remained on the front lines of journalism, exposing the cartels even after they publicly marked her for death. Her case stands out because, unlike others, she had institutional backing. Many journalists who challenge organized crime are left defenseless, but Uresti's defiance, combined with government protection, sent a rare message. Sometimes the truth can fight back. Still, her story is a reminder that in cartel-controlled regions, even those with powerful allies must tread carefully. While she survived where others did not, the threat never truly disappeared. And there you have it, 5 shocking cases of influencers and journalists who learned the hard way that cartels don't play games. Which story surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more eye-opening stories. Stay safe out there.